Good afternoon, morning, and evening, everyone. My name is Brandon. BDF44 is what I call myself on here, and I've been making videos lately at work. So here go another one. So I've been paying attention to the Doja Cat situation. Basically, um, you know how I am. I sum things up and then I proceed to speak on what I think. To sum up the situation, basically, some videos have come out of hers in a chat room, tiny chat to be exact. Um, and it has like a alt right slash incel. Is that what they call them? I wasn't familiar with that word, but it's a theme for that chat where you go in there, you just kind of let your guard down. Don't you say stuff that you wouldn't say in normal settings, and you just kind of um, you know be dark humor, insulting, let out frustrations or what have you. It's a place where people with that mentality can go and just be themselves amongst others, like-minded individuals, and just kind of stay out of the way of the rest of us who would be offended by their energy. I actually think it's a healthy thing for a lot of people to have. I think there are a lot of people walking around suppressing their energy, and they need outlets like that to let them be themselves so they have some release for that energy. So I personally support all of that. I don't care how crazy or different your ideas are, how evil or demented your ideas are. You should have a room where you can go with people like you so y'all can discuss what y'all discuss, and I stand by that. So I don't necessarily have a problem with Doja Cat being in that room at all. If that's the type of brain she has, the type of human being that she is, she's found a community that she feels supported in. How can I not be okay with that? What the hell I got to say about that? I don't know her or care about the situation enough to say anything about that chat room. What they're doing there is for that, okay? So let's just leave that part as it is. But for me, the part that bothered me about her situation was the fact that she came out with a video back in 2015, right after Sandra Bland was murdered. Yes, murdered. We're not gonna play like that over here. Um, and she basically came out with a video or a song that she wrote, probably in passing. It wasn't probably anything too serious to her. I don't think she intended for it to be released. Um, but basically, it was called "Didn't Do Nothing." Now, I was familiar with the "Didn't Do Nothing" phrase, and for those who aren't, it comes from the words "didn't do nothing" or "didn't do anything," and that's something that someone racist coined as a phrase that they coined. Usually coupled it with a meme. I've seen it. Didn't do nothing, and it's like a black face attached to like a muffin packaging. Like I can't think of the name of the muffin companies, but they removed the regular company and they replaced it with "didn't do nothing" and put a black person's face up there. And it's just like a little thing they can use to express their disdain for my existence, our existence, and specifically pointing at the fact that African Americans who are being killed by police a lot of times proclaim their innocence, as a lot of times they are innocent, and "didn't do nothing" is a ebonic way that you can say, hey, I didn't do nothing, or they didn't do nothing, he didn't do nothing. So you get the point. She made a song about it. Um, she put that in the lyrics. Just really, really derogatory stuff toward African Americans, and it frustrates me because I understand her background now, and she's not African American. Her father was African, who was not in her life at any point in time. From what I understand, she never met the man. He was a actor in Africa. In fact, he was in the movie Serafina that came out, I think, in 1990 or something like that, with Whoopi Goldberg. And I saw footage of her and Whoopi Goldberg meeting, and her telling Whoopi who her father was, and Whoopi remembered who her dad was. Told her dad was a great guy. So, that's the kind of thing that I think can kind of twist a person's mind when you have a family member, a parent that doesn't uh, isn't in your life, abandon your family. I think the story is he abandoned her mom, stayed in Africa, was supposed to come over here or something with her. Or something. I'm not certain how it went, but he's not in their life. And she was raised by her mom, who's Jewish, and you know, in a world where it wasn't a whole lot of African Americans, I'd imagine. not growing up, and she wasn't taught to love her features. It appears she wasn't taught to understand the beauty of her black side, and a lot of people are blaming her mom for that. I just don't know enough to do that. I think that's an easy conclusion to jump to. Looking at her mom as somebody who was had her heart broken by a black guy, and she had to raise a black baby, and that's not an easy situation, I'd imagine, for any woman. But when you're not African American, you're gonna raise your child the best way you know how, and you're gonna raise them, with pride in who she is, who you are, which is a white woman in that case, a Jewish lady. So her kid grew up kind of. It appears Doja grew up having some disdain for black features, and not a whole lot of respect for black feelings, cultures, not a whole lot of attachment to the things that African Americans find themselves dealing with every day, or offended by, or rubbed the wrong way by, or what have you. She doesn't look at it that way. It appears, in fact, that she may have some sort of fetish for being treated poorly, which is why people have come to the conclusion that Doja Cat does not love herself. She has some self-hatred issues and all that, and digging into somebody's psychology is not really possible without actually sitting down with them and speaking with them. So what do I know? I'm just saying what people are saying. And from where I'm sitting, it's just, here's the thing. Growing up in Hollywood, like not just LA, but Hollywood, I've been around individuals who have been biracial. I've been friends with individuals who are biracial, who have a white mom and a black dad, or have a black father who's not around. Like I've known people very closely, some of my best friends fit that identity, and there've been times where I felt like they identified with African Americans, and I'm talking about my friends specifically, them. But there's been other times where I felt like maybe they really had a little disconnect. They certainly didn't see things the way that I did, and I felt like there's nothing wrong with that, because half of them wasn't black, And to ask someone to choose a side never seemed fair to me. Excuse me. It never seemed like my place to have an opinion on that. And they were my friends, so I supported them, and no matter how they felt about themselves, whether they were with their black side or with their white side, or in another case, Mexican side. I didn't care. I just loved my friends, and they loved me, and I don't think they looked at me and said, that's a black guy, or they wouldn't be as close to me as they were. They looked at me as somebody that they truly trusted and cared about, and I felt the same way. But some of these traits and some of the things that I've seen in the videos of Doja Cat, and some of the stuff that I've seen, just her overall energy, kind of reminded me of some of the stuff that I'd seen in some of my friends and some people I've seen in passing, just living in Hollywood. So I wasn't rubbed as the wrong way. I wasn't rubbed as badly as maybe some other African Americans who grew up having not had anyone biracial close to them, or the people that they've known who've been biracial have come off as self-hating individuals to them, or what have you. They hadn't had conversations with people or what have you to make them understand certain things, certain traits that they may have seen in Doja's behavior that may come as normal to someone like myself, who's known a lot of biracial people very closely. I can't speak to the identity crisis that may exist. I would like to, but I'm not going to be educated in doing so. It's just ignorance. Or the conundrum that may be there when the black side of your family may not be all that great of people, or may not be in your life. Can't speak to that. Not intelligently, so I won't. But what I will say is, it's a very tragic situation when you meet somebody, or you see someone like Doja Cat, who may, and I want to word this responsibly, may find some unique embracement in being belittled, especially if they don't identify with the part of them that's being belittled. If they already have some self-hatred going on, if they already don't respect what it is within the culture that they're kind of staying away from, they may develop some type of fetish for race play, or for being just talked down to, or maybe even develop some kind of masochistic behavior traits or something like that, which is what she's displaying to me, in my opinion. She may just be a full-fledged masochist or something of that nature. Seems like when I was looking at her videos, she, with her in the chat room, the tiny chat, to me it looked like she was, and I've heard a lot of people say this, but it seemed like she was kind of getting off on it. She might have popped a pill or two on some of them videos. You know what I mean? She looked like she was definitely escaping reality. I don't think she was really offended by the things that were said to her in the videos that I saw, even though some of those things could be a little sketchy. You'd like to see an African American step up when you're in the presence of people who are not of color and they're saying certain things. You want to see at least some sense of pride, but you understand when you're looking at a person who has the identity traits that she has, maybe they see no pride in that. Maybe they don't identify with why they should. Maybe they haven't had enough people around them to help instill in them a confidence that they should step up and maybe not appreciate certain things that are said or what have you. Or maybe we, as African Americans, need to grow thicker skin and become more like Doja in that way and not take things so seriously and read energy a little better than just to jump to certain conclusions about racial jokes or even certain words that are being said. I honestly don't know. As an African American man, I'm very comfortable with my level of offense, when I get offended and what my threshold is for certain things. I'm pretty comfortable. And I think I'm pretty average in terms in that regard. I don't think I'm hypersensitive, but I also don't think that I'm very tolerant about certain things as a black man. And maybe I'm conditioned to think that way. But I think there's certain pride that comes with the conditioning of that nature when you attach it to a certain level of self, holding yourself accountable. When you hold yourself accountable and hold a certain pride, you can be sensitive because you know you're going to put out a certain level of sensitivity for other people's things that matter to them. You're not going to run off and say all kinds of stuff and then get offended when someone says much stuff to you. So that's how I look at myself. I'm going to be sensitive to other people's stuff and try to be as respectful as I can, and I expect others to be the same with me, and that's just how I roll. So I'm not a big troll. Obviously, she means to be a part of the troll, tends to be a part of the troll culture. She's a troll, all intent and purposes. I'm a cow. To me, when I heard that I'm a cow song, even though I thought it was really, really catchy, there's two things that came to mind. First of all, you calling yourself a heifer? That was the very first thing I was thinking. Like, wow, that's some self-hating shit right there. Like, truly, you're a woman, and you're very, very attractive, and you're running around telling everybody that you think of yourself as a cow. It's catchy, it's funny, but then there's a little thing in the back of your head saying, there's something wrong there. Something is not right. And then I saw her boyfriend. He was nowhere near the hip-hop culture. Let's just put it like that. I don't care about white, black, Hispanic, all that. We're just going to talk about people who are in the culture. He's not a part of this. Not a part of this here. Okay? So that part was easy to identify with. I don't think nothing of that. I've had friends, once again, blah, blah, blah. They date people outside of what I consider to be black culture, hip-hop culture, or what have you. Doesn't mean a damn thing a lot of times. So I kind of didn't think too much of that. But then when all this stuff started coming out, and then I saw some of her lives, Instagram lives. I remember I was watching an Instagram live where she was talking to Russ, and she was telling him she was going to screw him, and she just looked really drunk and really belligerent, kind of just sloppy. I was thinking, man, this girl got some issues that are going to come out. And sure enough, I was right. Didn't think they'd be anything like this, but I knew that we would know some things about her in the coming days, coming weeks, because of how alternate her mindset tended to be and how different she was in comparison to so many other superstars out here. She didn't appear to take herself seriously, and to a point, she didn't really seem to care about much at all, it seems. So as far as her music's concerned, I'm not really big on her music, although I identified musical talent in her. She has it. She's definitely got an ear. She has a song that I like called Wine For You. I think it's called Wine For You. But like most of her music's not for me. I left it alone. Wine Pon You, I think it's something like that. It's like a reggae song that she did. Pretty solid. So like that's as far as my musical taste goes in regards to her. But I'm attracted to the woman. I think she's gorgeous. So I pay attention to her just off the strength of her being pretty to me, and that's just my guy. So what it is that. But when I see this trait of self hate or a trait of lack of respect for your race, that's something that I really have to dig deep and try to figure out. You know, because I'm not gonna like that trait off top. That's gonna make me turned off by you. So I got to get to the bottom of that, and that's what I've been doing. Just trying to do as much paying attention to what everybody's saying and research and looking at all the evidence and all of that. And I've just come to the conclusion that homegirl has a lot of stuff she needs to work through. And mind you, this is a young person. I don't know how old she is, but I can imagine she's under 25. When I look back on how I was at 25, believe me, I needed my head knocked around a few times for me to get to the point I'm at right now. I mean that literally. To get punched a couple times for me to start to understand how to best take care of myself. So because I went through those things as a 35-year-old, 36-year-old man, now it's like I look at young people a certain way now in terms of I don't judge y'all like the world judge y'all, because I know you're going to learn some things that's going to help you change, or your mistakes are going to cost you your life. It's one or the other. And that's just part of being in the mid-20s and trying to figure out how to be a grown-up while still having childish behavior within you. So, it's a lot of that going on with her too. She just has to be kind of molded, or rather guided into being curious about her black heritage, her African heritage. And once she learns more about who she was, make peace with that father of hers, I think she'll start coming around on some things and she'll mature just like anybody else. But at 25, 24 years old, she seems like she's just out there fetishing and over people who help her reinforce that idea that she should hate herself. Whatever forms, pop off in her mind as cool are the forms she goes toward. And in this case, it seems to be white supremacists or, super trolls with racial emphasis. So, I've been around enough people who have alternative mindsets to understand that homegirl is just going to have to grow up. Honestly, it's not deeper than that. For some people, they never do. Other people, this is who they become, and they get it even worse. Here's the issue, of course, for her, she's famous. She just made it famous. She's on the upswing in terms of her trajectory and what she's doing. She has a #1 hit with Nicki Minaj out right now, Say So, and it's just a lot going on that's positive in her life. And of course, when you make it and you're a person of color, there are going to be people there to tear you down. And from what I understand, it's people that were in those chat rooms that ended up ultimately leaking her footage. Not surprising if they are indeed white supremacists or racists or super trolls with racist agendas. They're going to turn on the black girl that's made it from their chat room. If she's not shouting them out or staying in their chat room or doing whatever it is they wanted to do. It could be a number of things if that is what's happening. So, whatever. But I think the main thing I just wanted to kind of address here is just an understanding that, self-loathing and an identity crisis, those things can be difficult to kind of manage when you're trying to be famous. You're trying to display a certain image to the world that kind of caters to your complexion and your appearance, but that don't represent who you are up here. That can be very, very tough. And I think that might be what she's dealing with right now. She's an alternative kind of white girl, black girl, but more so on the white side. And then all of a sudden when she makes it, they want to turn her into like a rap star because she's black and got coarse hair. That's why I say a lot of what we do and the things that we as a society are into right now in 2020 seems primitive to me. It seems like I see that we're behind schedule on some stuff. And that's one of them. And it's kind of taught me this lesson. When you see somebody who's biracial, or you see somebody, I think biracial is the best way to try to bring in the point. When you see someone that's biracial, don't assume that they're going to side with one side or another. Don't assume that they're going to have the traits that you have as a fully one race person. That's not the reality of their life a lot of times. They may identify with one side more so than the other. They may have issues with the people on one side or another. And I've seen that many times. Just like we have issues with our parents or issues with family members or issues with abandonment or what have you. But both parents happen to be black, so it's not a racial issue. But for someone who has different race of family members or biracial family members, parents rather, yeah, they may have some issues, and they may be attached to their esteem. Those issues may be attached to how they maneuver sexually. Those issues may be attached to how they think, just in general. And I think that Doja Cat is a really, really great case study in that regard, because here we are looking at her, and we, as African Americans, can identify the black in her immediately. So we automatically assume that she's an American African person with slave blood in her past, and the sense of blackness that all of us harbor. And the reality is, she's an African girl, with a white mom, and that African brother ain't never lived in America, and her white mom may not identify with any of the stuff that matters over here. So it's like you place these assumptions on these individuals based on their traits and their genetics and who they appear to be, and in their brains and who they are in their soul represents exactly where they've been. So the conclusion I've come to is to stop assuming that people are a certain way just because they look a certain way. It doesn't stop with the skin and the tone and the texture of their hair. That ain't a brother over there, fam. And the flip side of that is, just because they're not black don't mean they don't identify with you. I've known people that grew up in the hood, they was white. Some people that grew up in the hood, they was not from their hood. They're different races, so there are people over there. I remember when I was a kid, there was a black dude who was raised around nothing but Armenians. I guess he was adopted by an Armenian family, or one of his parents was Armenian, and that was the parent that he lived with or what have you. And he didn't identify with blackness. He didn't hardly speak English. Darker skin than me, black features, all that. But when he opened his mouth, he's Armenian. And he would get offended if you thought otherwise. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, we have got to grow up as a world and a society to not stop at a person's features and skin color and assume that they're going to have morals that coincide with the people that often carry those features and tones. We got to stop that shit. And stop shunning people who don't carry certain physical traits and features because they harbor a mindset or a heart that coincides with whatever culture it is that they identify with. Stop shunning people because they different. And two, this video is long, I'm sorry y'all, I'm just gonna keep spitting. And two, I look at this Doja Cat situation, I say, okay, if I'm to assume all of this stuff is what it is, this is a black girl who doesn't like herself, who finds solace in receiving bad treatment from people who are white. If I'm to assume that, being a black person, I have to ask myself, what do I want for her? It's responsible for me to ask myself, what do I want from her and what do I want for her? If I'm going to make all these assumptions about who she is, if I'm going to demand that she stand up and be something that I want her to be, I have to ask myself what I want. Then I have to ask myself, am I doing what it is I need to do to assure that I get what I want from that person? And the answer is, if I want her to respect our blackness, learn to love herself, see the beauty in her coarse hair, see the beauty in her skin, see the beauty in her figure, and not hate herself, then the way to go about that probably isn't to be angry and demand that she be canceled because she hates herself. Or to make her hate me even more because I can't do nothing but throw more hatred at her in response to her hatred for herself. That's not a means to get what I want. And I think a lot of people and consumers, particularly consumers, we don't actually sit back and ask ourselves, what do we want for the people that we're focused on, and what do we want from the people that we're focused on? We just automatically jump to conclusions like mobs. Whatever it is that they saying over there, that's what we saying over here. And I'm trying to become more responsible, maturing myself, and try to share this message that, ask those questions before you come to any conclusions or start making demands upon people who are famous. Because a lot of times you lose sight of what it is that you actually are asking for. What do you want Doja to do? Kill herself? Jump off a roof? You want her to become even more hateful toward African Americans because the black community completely turned on her when they found out she hated herself? That's not going to make her love us. It's not going to make her love you. It's not going to make her love herself. So what do you want from her? And if it's just music and it's just entertainment, then stop demanding that she be something that she's not. Stop demanding that she love and care about stuff that she don't give a shit about. And stop heaping all this energy toward her in the name of her not being what it is that you want her to be if you haven't even established what it is you want. And that's my challenge to every consumer. We got to do better in that regard. Sitting up here trying to get her to see the beauty in her African American heritage and to see the pride that she should hold in our culture, and not even asking her if she wants to be a part of it. Not even realizing that what we're doing is going to push her away from us. You know, we get so caught up in who we are, the selfishness, the self-centered nature of how we feel when people don't do what we want them to do. This woman ain't never heard of you, man. She don't know who you are. Maybe if she knew you and saw the pride that you have in who you are, maybe that would give her a eureka moment in her mind and say, yo, maybe I should change my ways. And you're going to harp all this energy and this negativity at her and all these FUs and kill yourselves at her. And what she going to do? What she going to think about when she sees black people after all this? I don't think we even ask ourselves these questions. I just think we just mob people. We just jump on them. We take all our frustrations from our lives, all of our jealousy based on the fact that we're not famous and rich like them or what have you, and we just look for opportunities to throw hatred at people. I think that's what we do as a society. Or in the flip side, look for opportunities to heap praise upon people when they may not even earn it. So at some point in time, we need to start being more responsible as consumers, more independent thinkers as consumers, and having a clear objective about how we're acting toward the people that we demand so much from. So that's part of what I wanted to say here as well. Anyway, God bless Doja Cat. I really hope she finds whatever help she needs, whatever peace she needs to become however she's going to be. You know, she, like I said, I find her very attractive, but I don't think it's very attractive that she harbored these traits. I don't think she should turn her back on what makes her happy or whatever gets her off just because we don't approve. I don't agree with that. I think she should be whoever she is, but I think she should, as we all should, start developing who we want to be. A lot of us have become what the world has made us, but we got to take back that control and start determining who it is that we want to be. Yeah, the world's made me bitter because this, and this happened. How much of that was my doing? How much of that was my choice? At some point in time, you got to take back your hurt. Start making choices about who you want to be as a person. Not because of what happened to you or what's going on around you, but because of who you want to see in the mirror and on camera. Anyway, this is BDF 44, man. I'm just trying to spit as real as I possibly can. I hope you guys felt me. God bless all y'all. I love black people. I love us all. I'm trying to be better for us within my own self, and this is one way to do it, I think. So find your outlet, people. Whatever it is, find it, be productive within it, and don't forget to care about yourself. All right? BDF. Peace.